room only. We still have a couple seats up here if you want to take a load off. Come on up. As Gary said, I'm going to be talking about stand establishment and the principles for success. You ask yourself, what can somebody from Pennsylvania tell to you, people from the South, you know, same seeding rates, not even the same species. What am I going to talk about? Well, I'm going to talk about the principles. Okay, so we'll give the principles of success. I may give some fine points from Pennsylvania, certain seeding rates or something like that that wouldn't apply to you, but it's still the same principles. So try to latch onto those principles. I've also made it short. I've gotten to the point where I think I can give you more information with fewer slides, or at least more information you'll retain. So instead of more slides and you retain less, I'm giving you less slides and you'll retain more. That's the plan, okay? We'll see how it works. Let me know. Okay, first of all, lack of planning is planning for failure. You've got to plan ahead with forages, okay? You can't go out there the day you're going to seed and suddenly jump on the tractor and get it done and have any sort of chance for success. You may luck out once in a while, but it's not going to work very often for you. So plan ahead. Start planning, as I say here, at least 1 year before planting. At least 1 year. Okay? Know what you're going to put in there. Soil test. Add the amendments ahead of time. Get the soils where it needs to be. Planting the forage and then coming back and trying to adjust the soils is a losing battle. Okay? So get it up where it needs to be. If you aren't going to get the pH changed, here are some species. Look at species that may work better at different pHs. Okay, so we're not dealing strictly with one option here. You got options if you aren't going to adjust it. Weed control. Consider this now. Get it under control. We're coming up with some better herbicides for it during establishment, but certainly we have a better arsenal of herbicides or methods to control the weeds if we do it ahead of time. Okay, so when we get into the forages, it's already taken care of. Start thinking about what species are best for your situations. To do that, you got to know what you want out of it. Do you want them to, what do you want them to do? Early spring growth, and then not so much in the summer? Do you want a big summer growth? Do you want fall growth? And in this area, do you want some winter growth? Okay? Figure out what you want that species to do, and you can select certain species that will do better jobs at that. What environmental limitations exist? There's poor drainage in that soil. That'll limit which species you can put in. Is it shallow soil? What are the conditions that are limiting the production? And you'll want to select a species that performs best in those situations. Certainly, if you've got low-lying soils that are wet, selecting alfalfa, that's a disaster waiting to happen. You can get it as maybe established, but it isn't going to persist very well. So select that species. What management or equipment limitations exist? Do you have equipment to make silage? Okay? Don't plant a species that should be harvested as silage if you don't have the equipment to do it. Those kind of things. Look at your limitations. And then finally, down at the bottom, identify the species that fits all these limitations and all the criterion you've established. 6 months before planting. Okay? Said you got a plan. 6 months. Add needed lime or fertilizer. Weed control. Again, if you haven't got it under control yet, maybe this is your last chance to get it before you establish. And now start thinking about which varieties are best. You've narrowed it down to which species you want. Well, maybe there's varieties or cultivars within that species that may perform better in your situation. So think about that. Talk with your seed dealer. What do they have available? What information do they have? And also consult university evaluation trials. Okay? There are a lot of states have these, fewer and fewer. Some states are losing them, but they're out there and available. Unbiased evaluation of different varieties and how they'll perform in environments similar to yours. Okay? So there's one from Tennessee, got one from Kentucky, and Pennsylvania's on there. 8 things you can do to alter your success. Okay? So 8 things. I know preachers always say you got to just 3 things in your sermon. Well, I've got 8. I'm going to try to go through them so you'll remember a few of them. All right. Size of seed and quality of seed. Okay, generally as the seed size increases, the success rate will increase because you've got a better seeding, greater seeding depth you can play with and still have success. If you're going to plant one species only, that doesn't really matter, but certainly if you've got an option, if you don't have success with alfalfa, maybe putting in something like sorghum Sudan grass that has a little bit bigger seed will give you a better success. Also, the quality of the seed. If you've got seed and you're going to store it for very long, the addition of the humidity and the temperature should not exceed 100. So if you're trying to store your seed at 95 or 80 degrees temperature and 90% humidity, the seed's not going to last very long. Okay, so find a cool spot to put it in. That's the best thing if you got to store your seed. You know, you didn't get it in the spring and you're going to store it till fall. What can you do to keep the germination up? So there's one thing. Seeding rates. Know what the recommended seeding rates are. Here are some seeding rates that show different species, and over here is seeds per square foot at 4 different seeding rates. And we'll just take alfalfa for an example. If we seeded it at 1 pound per acre, we'd end up with 5 seeds out there. How many seeds of alfalfa do we need to be successful? Well, after the seeding, we're looking at about 15 plants is all the bare minimum we'd need to have. So, so if we would go out here, we could see that at 5 pounds to the acre, we'd have 25 seeds. So if every seed germinated and established, we could be seeding our alfalfa at 5 pounds to the acre. It doesn't work that way. Okay, we come up with recommendations, and at the bottom here, most of our seeding recommendations provide 3 to 8 times as much seed as would theoretically need to be put out there to make sure we're going to have enough seeds and get success. So know the seeding rates. Seeding rates continued. This is some work we did in Pennsylvania looking at alfalfa, and with different seeding rates, 25 pounds, 15 pounds, and 10 pounds, within 12 months after seeding, the plants had competed with each other at these higher seeding rates, and everything equaled out at about the same number of plants per square foot, no matter what the rate was. So just some data from there. So know the seeding rate, put enough on. Time of planting. In our part of the country, we got an option for winter planting soils, and we're planting in the winters, mostly broadcasting on. The fields, the soil should be open, not covered with a lot of snow, and going through a freeze-thaw cycle to be successful with winter seeding. Spring seeding, early planting, gets forages ahead of the weeds, and it also gets you established before you hit the summer drought. So I've got a picture over here. Whoops, I'm doing as bad as Dan, aren't I? Over here showing the weeds, and over here showing what happens with summer drought. And those of you who've planted and gone back out there in the middle of the summer, sometimes that's what it feels like. Hot and dry, and you can't imagine how that plant can live, and sometimes they don't live through it. Okay, so getting it in early as possible to beat the summer drought. Late summer seedings, putting it in the late summer. Here's some data from Pennsylvania showing that alfalfa and the legumes, anything after August 1st, the yield the following year is dropping if you seed it any time after August 1st. Now, in this part of the country, there may be another date, but certainly you are having a date when yield is going to start to decline if you plant it too late. And our grasses actually went up in September. About September 1st was the peak yield the following year after that, and then it also declined. To put that on a pounds per acre basis, alfalfa, we were losing 120 pounds for each day we delayed planting in the fall of the year. So 120 pounds, that's about, 40-pound bales. That's 3 bales at about $4 a bale. We're looking at, $12 an acre every day you delay. You know, you got corn growers that know if I don't plant today, I plant tomorrow, I'm losing about a bushel an acre. You know, so now we know what forages will do, how much they'll cost you if you don't get them in on time. Depth of planting, to me, this is the #1 cause of seeding failure for forages that we have, getting it too deep. Okay, we've got farmers that are used to planting crops an inch deep. They adjust the drill a little bit, hop on it, dump the seed in, and they're gone. They seed the whole thing, and a month later they're calling saying, hey, I've got nothing out there. What happened? Well, they got it in too deep. They didn't go back and check it. Okay, rules of thumb that I've established for this, presenting for this. Heel of the shoe shouldn't sink in more than a ½ inch. So once you've got the seed bed ready, walk over it. And if your shoes sink in more than a ½ inch, the heel of it sinks in more than a ½ inch, it's probably still too soft. You need to firm up that soil so that you've got the press wheels and things that are adjusting the seeding depth aren't letting it go too deep. Okay, so that's one of them. And I know it's tough for producers, but once you get started, get off of the tractor, go back and look and see behind the drill and see if you see any seeds on the top. You should see, with forages, you should see some seeds laying on the soil surface. If they aren't any on the soil surface, you're probably getting it in a little too deep. So you want some of the seeds on the soil surface. That's the #1 cause, okay? #5 gives us a #2 cause of failure, and that's good seed-soil contact. Once that seed, those forage seeds have to absorb a lot of water, and they're absorbing that water from the soil that's around them. Now, if you've got a seed, as I've shown here on this one, where it's stuck between 2 little clods, that's not much surface area to absorb water through. So it's going to absorb some water during the nighttime when it's cool, and then during the hot part of the day, that water may be evaporating off of that seed. So this seed is going through a sequence where it's getting water and it's thinking, oh man, I'm almost ready to germinate. And then during the day it dries out again. And then it soaks up water at night, and then it dries down again. And you do that to the seed too many times, it's dead. Okay? So that good seed-soil contact, as I try to show here on the right-hand side, where the seed's completely surrounded and the seed is covered with the soil so that the water can move through it. You get more uniform germination, and you're going to get better germination. So seed-soil contact. Seeding depth, seed-soil contact, if that's all you walk out of here with today, that's enough. Okay? Those are two of the big things for success. So that is bad. Inoculate the legumes. We all know that now with a lot of pre-inoculated seed and coating seeds, that's taken care of. If you've stored your seed very long, check the label. It'll tell you how long that inoculant can survive. Match the seeding method with soil preparation. Don't go out and try to no-till drill with a conventional drill. They're not set up to do that. You may get away with it once, but 9 times out of 10, it's not going to use the right implement for what you've prepared. And minimize weed competition. Summary. We're at the summary already. I told you I'd make it short and sweet. The summary. Success is never guaranteed. Right? I mean, you never know whether it's going to be successful or not. Plan ahead. Purchase quality seed. Plant at adequate rate. Don't plant too deep. And get good seed-soil contact. Okay? With that, I'm done. I told you to minimize. Hopefully you'll remember the best.
Marvin has done such a good job with his time management. I'll take a question or two before we go to the next one. Who's got a question? By the way, those standing in the back, they're supposed to be bringing some more chairs. Feel free to just find any open.
Make it easy. I need an easy question.
I'm trying to, I have some CRP land I want to turn into pastures. And there's probably a lot of weed seed in the seed bin. If you till it, should I till it this year? And so I can get what I've discovered is the more I till, the more weeds come the next year, right? So when I do establish my grasses, I'll drill them in with a no-till drill. But I need to get a bunch of tree stubble out first. I've got to disc it or plow it or something to get stubble out. So should I start tilling the weeds now before I disc it up or plow it up? Or should I wait until I've turned it over to try to get rid of the seed, the weed seed that's in the seed bed?
Since nothing, I don't know where you're located, but nothing's probably going to be germinating here right now. So you're probably going to have, the timing of that would probably be you're going to have the tillage done before you have the opportunity to have any weeds really germinating and spraying.
Well, they'll be coming out of the ground in the springtime. This is a 2-year project.
Okay.
So should I till it first? Till or wait? I'm trying to get the weeds out.
If you're going to, the question was, he's got some CRP ground. He's wondering, he's going to take it out and try to get pastures in there. Should he spray before, because he's got a big weed seed bank built up? Should he spray before he tills or till before he sprays? My recommendation on that, if it's not going to get tilled before those seeds germinate and actually produce more seeds, then you better control what's coming up if they're going to actually add more to the seed bank. If you're going to till before they get up and produce seeds, it's no need to do that. Wait and apply the herbicide after you've tilled. Oh. See, gave it away what part of the country I'm from, huh?
And I imagine that's a problem. One more question right back here.
Yes.
Do you have a hard copy of your presentation that you can offer?
It is in the proceedings. All that information's in the proceedings. If you actually want the presentation, talk to me afterwards. Yeah, it's in the proceedings.
Let's give Marvin a big round of applause. Great job.